Well, good evening. I have been asked several times if I would produce a little vlog showing how I achieve my long exposure minimal mono edits. Now, I am no expert in Photoshop, which is why I've held off on doing this. What you're about to see is my way of doing it. It's not necessarily correct, and I'm not saying for 1 minute that this is how you should do it. Because I find Photoshop an absolute monster, and quite a scary monster as well, I found a way that works for me. It might not be the quickest way, and I do end up doing a lot of faffing and undoing and redoing, but I will get the result that I want the majority of the time. I have tried online tutorials, which are great when your computer does what the tutorial says it should be doing, which most of the time mine doesn't, so I give up. I was also doing this edit on my laptop, which I don't normally do. I normally edit on my desktop, but I think my desktop would keel over and die if I put a screen recorder on it. So it is a simple, basic, quick and dirty edit to give you some idea of the process I use, taking a raw file, which is this one here from Kirby Marina, or it could be there or it could be there. And turning it into this one, or it could be this one. I'm never sure which way it's going to go. The image that comes up as the edited one is the one that you saw in the vlog from Kirby Marina. So as I say, it's not the be-all and end-all of this is how you should edit a photo. I found a way that works for me, and that's what I'm going to stick to. I'm very slow at learning Photoshop, very, very slow, and I find it incredibly frustrating. So maybe it will help you realise that you don't actually need to have that much knowledge to produce something with a little bit of time and effort that is quite a decent image. Well, this is not meant to be a full tutorial on how to edit photos. This is how I do it, and it's very possibly not the right way, but it's the way I found works for me most of the time. So I've just opened the image that I'm going to use from Bridge, because I don't use Lightroom. Bridge takes me straight into Camera Raw. So I'm just going to set this back to Camera Raw defaults. I have some basic tweaks that I do, and then I'll open the image, and with a bit of luck and a following wind, we will go into Photoshop. Right, so we've opened the image in Photoshop, and this I'm sure is where most people start using layers, but I'm not that good with layers. So there's an area here that I want to get rid of, and then I want to get rid of this area over here. So what I'm using is the rectangular marquee tool. Draw out around that, right click, fill, drop that down to content aware, move the opacity up to 100%, and see what sort of a job that does. Now this is a fairly basic, simple edit, so Photoshop shouldn't really have any major problems. Yeah, it's taken that out quite nicely. Now what it's going to do, if I try and remove this slot, I'm not quite sure. Let's have a go. And this is why I don't, or had no intention of doing this type of video, because I'm not that good in Photoshop. I probably don't do things the right way. That's actually not done. Let's just deselect that. Yeah, that's not done too bad a job. So we'll just take that last little bit out. And apologies if the sound is a little bit funny. I'm sat in the conservatory and it's a bit hollow. So I've got rid of the horizon. So now what we need to do is blend this area in and blend this area in. Now I can just hear, oh look, we've got a little dust bunny. So content aware, get rid of that one. There's a blooming huge one up there, so get rid of that one. Sometimes content aware works perfectly, other times it has a complete tantrum and says, oh, I'm not doing that. So from here on in, it really is just a case of blending, or cloning. So I'm going to clone stamp, and I tend to drop down to a fairly low opacity to start with. Alt and click. I just want to bring some of that down there, and then it's just a case of playing. This is, as I say, this is quite an easy image, and then it really is just a case of, oops, steady but sure. I find if you use a low opacity to start with, it makes the job a lot easier. Oh, if you use a high opacity, or you pick up the wrong bit, you get something that is blatantly wrong. So then I just step back, drop the opacity just a little bit more. And I can almost hear people going, oh, why isn't she using layers? Because I really don't understand Photoshop that well. So I just use something that I find I can get on with. And using the clone stamp seems to be, oh, no, that's not right. My mouse is on the sofa, so it's possibly not as responsive as it could be. This side I'm quite happy with. This side is going to take a little bit longer, so I'm just going to drop the opacity again and just keep blending until I'm happy. I'm not fussed if it's lightening bits up. I've just got a bit heavy there earlier on. Should have gone back really. But yeah, well, that's the sort of thing that I do, and I'm not too happy with that little bit there, so I'll clone onto that and just trying to darken that down, make it slightly less of an obvious line, and I just keep going until I'm happy with the end result. Even at 15, well, at 10% opacity, it's still, drop it down again a little bit, no, 3% is too little, it's about 8. The lighter the opacity, I think the easier it is to blend. That's quite happy with that bit. And I'm sure if I used layers or layer masks, then it would possibly be even easier. Yeah, there's just a little bit there that I'm not. I would prefer to go over something with a low opacity 4, 5, 6 times. Just up the opacity slightly. I can still see a bit of a horizon line there. Yeah, I would prefer to go at it with a low opacity brush, as I think that makes fine tuning just a little bit easier. I'm still not 100% on that one. Rather than diving in at 80–90% and then having to go back and remove things or undo it. As I say, it doesn't have to be perfect. Nope, see, I've gone up the opacity there and you could see it coming up there. Just drop that down again. Whoops, that's too big. The sky is never perfect. There's a little bit of a splodge there. As I say, this is never going to be a perfect edit. I'm just trying to show you what I do. Yeah, I think I'm reasonably happy with that. A short and dirty edit. So then I'll go into the crop tool, and again, a lot of people will crop beforehand. I'm not too worried about that. Now my standard crop is 12×8. I managed to. The only problem with doing this on the sofa is I do manage to knock it sometimes. And I think I've been playing. I'm going to bring that in slightly. Now I've got content aware fill ticked at the top here. Now I've extended that canvas slightly. Click OK. See what it's done with that. Yeah, it's made a pretty good job of filling over there. I think I quite like that one. Now on the original one, I think I had a little go at dodging and burning. Let's use the, I'll knock that into the highlights, brighten that slightly. That's it. I'll whiz back into camera raw and just up the contrast slightly, pull the highlights down, I need a bit of a boost of blacks. Yeah, a little bit of boost of blacks on these. I know this isn't the prettiest foreground ever. Dehaze texture, no, I don't need any of that. That'll do for that. Now there are times I'll create a new layer and I shall put a layer mask on there ready. I occasionally try, where are we? Yeah, maybe a bit of adjustments, photo filters. Because if you're going to play, you might as well play properly. So you can cool it down. I think that's a bit too blue. Just run through those, see. Yeah, I quite like that. It's a little bit more bluer. That I like. That's just making that area pop slightly. I'm only at 25%. Let's just try deep red. No. Deep blue. No, I think I quite like violet. We'll go on to that. I'll go on to the layer mask and find my brush tool. Now this is something I am useless with. I think I need black. I just want to take it off of there. So just a quick and dirty edit. Now do I like that? Yeah, I think so. Flatten the image. Then people have asked me about the frame. If you go into actions on Photoshop, go into the frame channel, wood frame, there you go. Do that. Hopefully it will work. Now for some reason on the laptop it brings me up a black frame. And all I do is click that to get the white. On my desktop it brings it up in a wooden effect, in a brown effect. I'll then merge visible, click it again, do the same again. That layer there, that gives me the double frame effect that I quite like. Flatten the image. The last thing I will do is Control and J, it gives me another layer. We'll go in, I will high pass sharpen, and normally around between 2.8 and 3.2 pixels. Select overlay, sometimes I'll select soft, sometimes I'll select hard. Linear is quite a good one I found with sports. Normally knock it down to about 58% sharpening. Flatten the image, and then just because I've got Nick effects loaded on here, I will go in and use their define just to knock out any noise that may be there. I do find that they put those in the strangest of places. Let that work. This always takes a little bit of time. There we go. Make sure I did actually manage to get rid of all the dust bunnies. Yep. File that, flatten image, and then into text. Alt 0169. Oh, that's just a little bit on the large side. Into 24, that'll do. Position that how I want that. Knock down the opacity, and I know some people don't like it. I really don't care about that. Yes, I know it's easy to clone out. It's just a habit I've got into, mainly due to the motocross. And then I will file, save as. It's already loaded in, so I will put on there. And we've got original, oh no, we've got that already. So if we put in record, and I save it large. And that's it. If I was to look at an image and decide that I want to print it, then before I put the frame on, I will sharpen it, noise reduction, and I'll save that image as a large JPEG. Sometimes I'll save as a TIFF, depends on how long it's going to be before I decide to get in and get it printed. And then I will do the framing ready to go on the web. And that's it. That's really all I do. As I say, I'm sure there are probably quicker ways and better ways of doing it, but I hope this has been of some use to you. Thanks for watching. Bye!